Okay, here we go.
And this play is
Three Sisters.
Three Sisters, okay.
Andrei Sergeyevich, the papers aren't mine, you know. They're office papers. I didn't make them up.
Okay.
Where has all my past life gone to? The time when I was young and gay and clever. When I used to have fine dreams and great thoughts. And the present and the future were bright with hope. Why do we become so dull and commonplace and uninteresting almost before we've even begun to live? Why do we get lazy, indifferent, useless, unhappy? This town has been in existence for 200 years. 100,000 people live in it. But there's not one person who's any different from all the others. There's never been a scholar or an artist or a saint in this place. Not one man sufficiently outstanding to make you feel passionately you wanted to emulate him. People here do nothing but eat, drink, and sleep. When they die, others take their place. They eat, drink, and sleep too. Just introduce a little variety into their lives as to not become completely stupid with boredom. They indulge in their disgusting gossip and vodka and gambling and lawsuits. The wives deceive their husbands. The husbands lie to their wives. They pretend they don't see anything and don't hear anything. And all of this overwhelming vulgarity and pettiness crushes the children and puts out any spark they might have in them until they are miserable, half-dead creatures just like one another and just like their parents. What do you want?
What? Here are the papers to sign.
What a nuisance you are.
The porter at the finance department told me just now. He said last winter they had 200 degrees of frost in Petersburg.
I hate the life I live at present. Oh, the sense of elation when I think of the future, and then I feel so lighthearted, a sense of release. I see a light ahead, a light in freedom. I see myself free, and my children too. Free from idleness, free from kvass, free from eternal meals of goose and cabbage, free from after dinner naps, free from all this degrading parasitism.
They say 2,000 people were frozen to death. They say everyone was scared stiff. It was either in Petersburg or in Moscow. I can't remember exactly.
Masha, my sisters, my dear sisters, Masha, my dear sister.
Who's that talking so loudly there? Is that you, Andrisha? You're awake, Sovochka. Il ne faut pas faire de bruit. La Sophie est dormie déjà. Vous êtes en or. If you want to talk, give the pream to someone else. Thereupon, take the pream from the master.
Yes, madam.
I was talking quietly.
Bobik. Naughty Bobik. Aren't you a naughty boy?
All right. I'll look through them and sign them if they need it. You can take them back to the office later. scene.
Okay, good. Yeah. What were you working for tonight, Michael?
I was trying to work with my surroundings for this scene because I feel like that's something that I had not worked as much on as of until now with this, and we had this idea like, okay, in the context of the scene, he's got the pram, baby stroller, so Bobek's there. We were gonna see if there's a baby stroller maybe in the back room in the studio. So
I imagine there are 10 of them. I don't know.
that'd be great.
I don't think there is a baby stroller back there.
So
Well, but we can make a baby stroller out of, yeah,
yeah,
right?
because I also pictured the scene could open just with him kind of admiring his child, thinking, poor innocent thing.
Sure,
But
yeah. So the surroundings specifically being what? You were exploring the surroundings.
just how he's feels completely inadequate at where he is, what he's doing right now. He's miserable. This is his life. And he has no say in it.
And how do you react? How would Andre, because he's miserable, how are the different ways he would react? Because he's miserable and feeling miserable, how do people react when they're miserable, and what are the different ways rather than one way? What are the different ways you react when you're miserable?
Gets frustrated. There's a hint of he's desperate. He's desperate for some attention, some recognition for how he's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he turns to this one person who unfortunately cannot comprehend what is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mockery. You
Yeah.
can mock the situation.
yes, that's true.
Mocking what, Omar? What would he mock?
The stuff he's talking about, the life, mock the life, mock these ideals, this way of living. It's ridiculous to him.
Which brings out humor. And otherwise, it's all very heavy. Suicidal. Yeah. It's one color. But it's good you explored that color. But the other color is the mockery, the absurdity of the situation that you find yourself in, which a line like, after he goes through this whole philosophical, not even philosophical, he's talking about all these things, and then he turns to this poor old man and he goes, "What do you want? What do you want?" He realizes the absurdity. Here's a man holding these papers, and he doesn't hear a damn thing I've said, and he goes, "What the fuck do you want?" Is he intelligent, this character?
No, yeah. I mean, he's got promise, but he's kind of he's.
But that has something to do with intelligence. Is he intelligent? I mean, promise. There are a lot of people that don't have promise that are very intelligent, but they have no promise because they're, in neighborhoods and things, they're having trouble getting out.
I feel like
There are much more intelligent people in neighborhoods than in colleges sometimes. But they didn't have the opportunity, they didn't get there because of different things,
I kind of struggle to label him as intelligent just because of the choices he made in his life, marrying Natasha, his alcoholism, his gambling problems. That prohibits me from really feeling that I can call him intelligent person.
Right, but intelligence, you see, don't you know a lot of people that are intelligent, that are drunks, and that married the wrong people, or that, you know what I mean? Again,
he's analytical.
He's
He's
got a brain.
aware. You can.
He's
That's
got-
intelligence.
He's got a brain. Look at the lines, the way he talks. He reads books. He reads. You know what I mean? He's educated. And in Russia at that time, that's intelligent. You know, people in the 19th century who read, and not many people in Russia were that way. Again, intelligent, we're talking about intelligent in 2020? No, Chekhov was writing in the 19th century. So we study the period rather than thinking now. Is he intelligent in 19th century? He reads. He he's for a guy in a little town. Yeah.
But see, some of the stuff he says is even it's analytical today. It works today in the conventions of society and the way people live and lose their spirit when they grow older and get into the grind of society.
I mean, right. Chekhov is writing about, a lot of what he writes about are intelligent, cultured people that are stupid. They don't see the whole picture, but they're very bright. And a lot of his plays are about the end of that life. When
The
people,
intellectual, right?
the people who spent
Yeah.
all day drinking tea and reading the great books. Highly intelligent, but very stupid. And then look what happens.
عشان كده بحب
The equivalent of maybe we would call the blue collar, uneducated people take over because they're bright in a different way. They don't read maybe, or they've got a lot of.
They're convinced of what they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah.
Egypt back in the time was in high society. It was very similar.
What?
Egypt
Egypt.
in that time
Living in Egypt.
is the high society of Egypt back in the time. Also, they talk it's very similar.
I would think a lot of countries.
A lot of countries, yeah.
Don't cover your face with the paper.
It's
Yeah, you're doing
it's not a
some-
choice. It's because I can't see.
No.
I'm
You can do it this way, because you're doing some great stuff with your face.
Oh, thanks.
Good note.
This is the only way I can read it.
No, but I think he's saying. I think what Omer's saying is maybe you can do this. No.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Thanks.
There you go.
Oh, like this. Okay.
Shows a little more.
Mm.
So I guess what I'm getting at, not just for you, Michael, but reminding myself that intelligent people, when I think of really intelligent people, whether they are in college or not, maybe we should get away from thinking of intelligent people as only having been to college. Number one, but number two, we should think of the idea of when I think of intelligent people, I think of people who have a lot of humor, find humor. Absurd, a sense of absurd, a sense of, you know what I mean? They're not just this, you know? So with Chekhov, you would definitely have to look for that.
Right.
But more than not, I would look for it in every piece you can. You know, reasons why he would find the character would laugh at himself. If he's intelligent, he has a sense of, maybe, Malvolio would not in Twelfth Night. He doesn't see the humor in himself, but he laughs at other people. You know what I mean? So that's funny. But but he's not that bright, Malvolio. So he doesn't laugh at himself. Intelligent people will sometimes laugh at themselves or their own condition, I think. So once again, let's try it and look for that, Michael.
Okay.
If you would.
A little technical thing, when you get hysterical, your voice gets very high, very fast, and the articulation is gone. And if those are important words, they're not coming across.
How you doing, Lamar? Good to see you.
Yes.
Okay, have a seat, my man.
The bathroom's okay.
Go ahead, back to the left. Yeah.
Andrei Sergeyevich, the papers aren't mine. You know, they're office papers. I didn't make them up.
Where has all my past life gone to? The time when I was young and gay and clever. I used to have fine dreams and great thoughts. The present and the future were bright with hope. Why do we become so dull and commonplace and uninteresting almost before we've even begun to live? Why do we get lazy, indifferent, useless, unhappy? This town's been in existence for 200 years. 100,000 people live in it. There's not one person who's any different from all the others. There's never been a scholar or an artist or a saint in this place. Not one man sufficiently outstanding to make you feel passionately you want to emulate him. People here do nothing but eat, drink, and sleep. Then they die. Some others take their place, they eat, drink, and sleep too. Just introduce a little variety into their lives as to not become completely stupid with boredom. They indulge in their disgusting gossip and vodka and gambling and lawsuits. The wives deceive their husbands, the husbands lie to their wives, and they pretend they don't see anything and don't hear anything. And all of this overwhelming vulgarity and pettiness crushes the children. It puts out any spark they might have in them, and so that they become miserable, half-dead creatures just like one another and just like their parents. What do you want?
What? Here are the papers to sign.
What a nuisance you are.
The porter at the finance department told me just now. He said last winter they had 200 degrees of frost in Petersburg.
I hate the life I live right now, at present. And all the sense of elation when I think of the future. And then I feel so lighthearted. I feel a sense of release. I see a light ahead. Light and freedom. I see myself free, and my children too, free from idleness, free from kvass, free from eternal meals of goose and cabbage, free from after dinner naps, free from all of this degrading parasitism.
They say 2,000 people were frozen to death. They said everyone was scared stiff. It was either in Petersburg or in Moscow. I can't remember.
Sisters, my dear sisters.
Masha! My dear sister!
Who's that talking so loudly there? Is that you, Andrisha? Your wake Sovochka. Il ne faut pas faire du bruit. La Sophie est dormie déjà. Vous êtes nos ours. If you want to talk, give the pram to someone else. Farabont, take the pram from the master.
Yes, ma'am.
I was talking quietly.
Bobek! Naughty Bobek! Aren't you a naughty boy?
All right, I'll look at them and sign them if they need it, and you can take them back to the office later.
This is like a Russian Downton Abbey. You know, the transition of the classes is changing. The old order is dying. They have to keep marrying Americans in order to get money. You know, there's the frustration.
Nice, Michael.
Only it's Russian.
What I like, Michael, is from the process of the way you work is you take a note and you go all the way with that note rather than trying to just do the performance. Because each time you take a note and you try that note fully, you're going to lose something else. But that way you experience where that humor is. And you then can find places where it's not. From doing it all the way, then you can find, well, it worked here, but it didn't feel good there. And so the next time, you know where you can try it. But in order to find out where sometimes it works, you have to really go all the way with it. And then you can say, well, it felt good here, but not there. So next time I'll remember that. It gives you, that experience, rather than trying to get a final performance each time. So rehearsal is about trying things all the way sometimes, rather than worrying, well, he's not laughing all the time, is he? Well, when you try it with that kind of humor, then it's going to be all the way that time, which it pretty much was, not all the way, but you really, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great, beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That was Three Sisters, nice work, David,
Oh, thank you.
nice.